I still wake up at night, hearing the sound of twigs snapping and leaves crunching, followed by a scream that makes my skin crawl. It's been 10 years since that night, but the memory still haunts me. I grew up in a small village in rural Tanzania, surrounded by dense forests and winding rivers. My family and I lived in a small hut on the outskirts of the village, near the edge of the forest. As a kid, I loved exploring the woods, climbing trees, and playing in the streams. One night, when I was 16, I was out collecting firewood with my older brother, Kofi. We had been warned by our parents to stay out of the forest at night, but we didn't listen. We thought it would be a quick trip, and we'd be back home before dark. As we walked deeper into the forest, the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the trees. We heard strange noises, the hooting of owls, the chopping of crickets, and the rustling of leaves. But then, we heard something that made our skin crawl. It started with a low rumble, like thunder in the distance. But it wasn't thunder. It was a low, growling sound, like an animal was coming for us. We froze, our hearts pounding in our chest. Suddenly, the trees around us began to shake, and the sound of twigs snapping and leaves crunching filled the air. We turned to run, but it was too late. A massive figure emerged from the darkness, its eyes glowing like embers. It was the Ngoma, a creature from our village's folklore. They said it was a giant, hairy man with feet as big as tree trunks. We didn't believe it, of course. But now, I know it's true. The Ngoma towered over us, its hot breath washing over us like a wave. We tried to scream, but our voices were trapped in our throats. The creature raised its massive foot, and I thought it was all over for us. But then, it let out a scream. A scream that still haunts me to this day. It was like nothing I've ever heard before, a mix of pain, anger, and sadness. The sound sent shivers down my spine, and I felt my heart stop beating. The Ngoma turned and ran, disappearing into the darkness. We didn't move for what felt like hours, our eyes fixed on the spot where the creature had vanished. When we finally stumbled back to our village, our parents were frantic with worry. We told them what had happened, but they just looked at each other, their faces filled with fear. They knew the Ngoma was real, and they knew we had been lucky to escape with our lives. From that day on, I never went back into those woods. I never wanted to see the Ngoma again, or hear it scream. But sometimes, in the dead of night, I still wake up to the sound of twigs snapping and leaves crunching, followed by that haunting scream. I've had a lot of people ask me if I have any proof of the Ngoma's existence. I don't have any pictures or videos, but I do have a footprint. It's a massive print, easily 3 times the size of my own foot.